England 20 runs behind with 9 wickets in hand. Niall, I think it's fair to say that Ireland knew it's going to be tough today, and if it's been tough today, it might be tougher tomorrow.
I expect it's going to be a difficult evening in the Ireland camp, because I think they'll be disappointed. You know, the batters especially, you know, there's nothing wrong with the surface. It was a bit difficult this morning. That first hour was a bit cloudy. The ball moved around a smidgen, not a great deal. I think if Ireland and their batting coach and the coaches and captain look over their dismissals, they'll think we've gifted England 4 or 5 wickets there, and that's not taking anything away from Stuart Broad, who was superb with the ball. I think we all felt the Ireland bowlers are going to have a difficult game. England batters came out and really did stamp their authority. England didn't give any sense today that they were easing their way into something bigger. They really did set a marker out for the summer, and I thought Ben Duckett, he's had a good summer so far from Nottinghamshire. Peter Moore's coach up at Trent Bridge said he's playing as well as he's ever seen him, and he started the English Test summer in a wonderful vein, and nice for Zach Crawley to get a half century too.
Yeah, it's momentum, I guess, Alistair, isn't it? I mean, just keeping going what they started a year ago.
Yeah, I think from the Irish point of view, the manner of a few of their dismissals from the top order to Leach, I think, will hurt them. Do you know what? If Stuart Broad, who's played however many games and taken however many wickets, gets 5 for against us, when, you know, it's cloudy, it's tough, we don't play much red ball cricket, you know, you can doff your cap and say, you know, he's a genuine world-class bowler in his conditions. We don't mind getting out to him, but actually losing 3 wickets, certainly 2 of those wickets to Jack Leach on a non-turning day one,
pitch, yeah.
First day one, they're the ones where they probably thinking, geez, we let that. You know, they're just, you can't really afford to do that when runs are such a premium. Ben Stokes captained him really well, actually, by challenging Ireland to go across the ball. You know, actually, when he started off, Paul Sterling, who's a very attacking player, you know, he had the man out, and within about 2 overs, he said, no, up you come. Yeah. And he had the whole of the short leg side up, and challenged him, Tucker, to play across the line, all of them, and actually they fell for it. And that's probably the bit there. Everything else I think is kind of as we expected the day to go. But England have had a great day, great toss to win. I think it was quite tough this morning. I thought McCullum grafted really well, actually. You know, real good opening batsmanship, left the ball well. Got a bit of luck, you need a little bit of luck, played the ball late. He'll be the one probably tonight going, God, you know what, I did all the hard work, and actually when he got out 20 minutes after lunch, probably had 1 or 2 more overs of Stuart Broad left, and the sun was out. It had been a lovely time to bat, but we know that England are a better side than Ireland. Ireland probably needed luck to win the toss, nip a few out to put a few nerves in, but this England side thinks differently to what I would have thought coming to a game where they're so heavily favourites. They just think, well, it doesn't matter, we're just going to steamroll them.
Yeah. Michael Vaughan's here as well.
Good evening.
I guess that's just kind of gone according to plan, really, hasn't it, from England's point of view? Stick them in, bowl them out, and be more or less level at the close of play.
Yeah, I mean, winning the toss and bowling, that's the key to this England side. Conditions were in their favour, but they're trying to do things that no team has ever done. You know, they genuinely arriving here this week thinking of winning in 2 days. You know, no team in Test history is doing what this England side's now done for over a year. You know, scoring consistently at over 4.5s. You know, we know the way they're going to play, and the more I watch them, the more I think, how do you bowl to them? And the only way you can bowl to them is by bowling your best ball consistently. And so far, the teams that they've played, whether it's New Zealand, India in that one test, South Africa, Pakistan away, New Zealand away, and you're talking about some real quality bowls. I'm not disrespecting Ireland, but the quality that they've faced in the last year is a lot better than they've faced today, and they've done it against better bowling. Now, the Australians, I know, will be thinking, oh, you can't do it against us, you know, the Aussie mentality. But, you know, they have done it against some real good attacks. The only time that it'll be a concern for them is the ball nips, as it was against South Africa here in the Test match. But it's just a joy to watch them play. You know, I'm glad Alistair mentioned Ben Stokes' captaincy. I just think he's a very, very smart cricketer. A lot smarter than I think that we ever thought he would be as a skipper. The way that he creates gaps in the field for the batter to try and hit into, knowing that you can play 1 or 2 nice shots. So you can play the sweep shot to the short side, and you play it once or twice nicely. But, you know, if you miss it, you know, you're going to give Jack Leach the opportunity of getting a couple of wickets, which they did today. And I think Cookie's right. I think Ireland know they're up against it. They're up against a very good England side. But when you lose a few wickets to Jack Leach, who just bowled orthodox legs. But they faced left-arm spin all their lives. There was nothing mysterious against Jack Leach today, but they've lost a few wickets poorly against him. The same in conditions that they had to bat. I don't think they could have done too much about it.
I think Ben Stokes' captaincy, if you're batting against him, we all like to get in a rhythm as a batsman. You all like to think, right, I'm in now, got to 20-30, and you see familiar things, 2 slips, gully, a ring field, bowlers bowling there. He doesn't let you do that as a batsman. He's moved fielders there to there. There might not be a reason for it, but he's always making you think, and he's always challenging you. Can you knock Jack Leach across there? It's a big gap at mid-wicket, but he'll only leave that for 3 or 4 balls, then he'll plug it, and he might offer you something else. He's constantly making you as a batsman think, and it's going to be interesting to see how, say, an Australian, the batting line-up of Labuschagne, Smith, these guys are world-class players, how they operate. Do they take that bait on, or do they just kind of ignore what he does and just focus on what you have to do is watch the ball? That's going to be an intriguing thing.
What do you think they will do?
I think they're going to be stubborn in their and just try and bat time.
That's how bubble they'll do.
That's how they bat, and I don't think how England bat is going to affect the Australian, like Steve Smith, Labuschagne. Like, we know Head's positive, Khawaja can be positive as well. So I think, and Warner likes to get on with it if he gets going. So I think those two will just bat in their bubble, and that's where Ben Stokes' captaincy could really impact the game.
I mean, it's been a hugely positive day for England, but I'll just give a little bit of a kind of angle going forward. So I look at this England side. If Ben Stokes can't bowl, and there has to be huge concerns whether he's going to bowl or not. He hasn't bowled today. He surely would have bowled this morning. The conditions were perfect for a fourth Leach on. So he didn't bowl. So we have to assume at this stage that it's a real doubt that he might play a full part as an all-rounder in the Ashes. So let's say England going to that first Test match and he's not going to be able to bowl too much. You're now down to 4 bowlers. So you've got 3 seamers and then you've got Jack Leach. So then England bowl on day 1 or day 2, day 3, when the conditions, if the conditions are like, and I believe the forecast is pretty good. So you break down, and they don't bowl 90 overs anymore, they bowl 85 in a day. So they bowl 85, let's break down 85 overs into 4 bowlers. Say Mark Wood plays, he's going to bowl 15 because he's that go-to X factor. So you've now got 70 overs between 3 bowlers. Say Jimmy Anderson, Ollie Robinson, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, whoever the combination is, and then Jack Leach. Jack Leach, without Ben Stokes bowling, is the key to this England attack. Because if the Australians get after Jack Leach early and he has to be taken off, Ben Stokes then has to turn to the seamers to bowl more overs on days 1, 2 and 3.
That'll be the Australian ploy, won't it?
Without any question.
Absolutely.
Without any question. They'll be looking at Jack Leach and going, right,
we're after you.
We're going to come for you. Because that's why this, Cameron Green becomes such a key for the Ashes, because he's obviously the 4th seamer. He's a very, very good 4th seamer, and they've got 5 genuine bowling options.
Yeah.
It's only concerned about this England bowling attack if the conditions are like this, and it's not a kind of a period where the ball's going to be hooping around. If it swings around, obviously the 3 seamers are going to be plenty, but if it's like this, and today was a kind of a day that we'd expect to see in an Ashes series in a few weeks' time, where it does a bit for 20 overs, then it gets quite flat, and it's quite difficult to get the 10 wickets. And Jack Leach is the key. He's the key to holding this England attack together, and that's my only concern without Ben's bowling, that this England attack might just be a little bit wanting with only 4 bowling options.
We'll get Niall's thoughts in a second, but first of all, somewhere down there at the far end of the ground, Stuart Broad is with us. Hello, Stuart.
Hi, Giz, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing really well. I'm in the sunshine. I hope you're not in the cold, in the shadows down there.
Yeah, actually, I think our balcony's been in the shadows all day. There's been a bit of whinging from the management, but it's been gorgeous out in the field.
Yeah, it has. And gorgeous for you, I'd imagine. You couldn't start the summer any better.
Yeah, nice, actually. I was... I was happy with the way we bowled as a group. It was fantastic bowling conditions this morning until lunch. That's what you're after at Lords. You get a bit of cloud and try and make the new ball count. And then the pitch sort of flattened up a little bit when the sun came out and the ball went a bit soft, so we had to work a little bit harder after lunch. But ultimately, you win the toss and bowl, and you search for that sort of result, and we're delighted with that.
You showed us that nice little outswinger you've been working on as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty basic ball in the armoury, really, but it's something that I've probably got really focused on nipping the ball back into the stump, and that's always going to be my favourite ball, because I believe your best outswinger can beat the outside edge, but your best ball that nips back generally hits someone on the shin or bowls them. So I'll still base my bowling around nipping the ball back to the stumps, but to be able to stand it up away from the bat and bring the slips into play is going to be important throughout this summer, I think.
Do you think you bowl a fuller length these days? I mean, there's more attacking cricket that England are playing. You do seem to be pitching the ball up.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And I certainly feel more comfortable bowling that fuller length. I think that just comes through naturally what teams want. You know, under going back a long time ago, under sort of Andrew Strauss, it was all about economy rates. So you had to bowl that slightly shorter length to be able to not get driven too much, whereas now it's all about wickets, so try and hold as many slips as you can, and if you get driven through the covers, that's not a problem, you know, as long as you're creating chances. So yeah, there's definitely a mindset that economy rates don't really matter anymore, and it's all about taking 10 wickets as quickly as you can, and generally through the history of the game, the fuller lengths bring wickets quicker.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of Ashes plans in place? I mean, do you have any idea now which test match you might or might not be playing in? I mean, has there been that sort of planning down the line?
No, not at all. I mean, it's, you know, within this change room, I think one of Brendan's sort of major mindsets and sayings is sort of live where your feet are, very much not looking forward at all. So I'm sure there's been some planning, you know, in the hierarchy at some stage, but from the players, the Ashes hasn't even been mentioned at all. We've got this week against Ireland, then we've got a bit of a camp towards the back end of next week, where that will be the first time we'll talk about the Ashes at all. So I think for us, we know it's going to be we're going to need a pack of bowlers throughout these next 6-7 weeks. I think we know that the games come thick and fast, and I think as a bowling group we know that we're going to need a few of us. So the mindset's just to be trying to be in rhythm and fit and fresh for every game, and whoever gets picked doesn't mean it'll be the same group in the next game.
Yeah, having taken 5 wickets here, certainly the old mindset would have been, well, that's me set up for the next test. But I mean, I guess it's possible that they will rotate, if you like, and you won't play that first one. Yeah,
very much so. But you know, my mindset is, as long as I'm fit and fresh for the last test of the summer, I've sort of done my job, if that makes sense. You know, I be ready to be called upon at any stage, whether that's the first, the fifth, the third. It doesn't matter to me. So you know, it's one of those environments that if I don't play at Edgbaston, you know, I might need to take important wickets at the Oval.
Yeah. Inevitably down here, Stuart, you can't help but muse over you and Jimmy Anderson's future. I mean, do you have any thoughts in your mind about this being your last summer?
No, not really. I mean, I sort of made a promise to myself last March when I got left out of the Caribbean that I wouldn't look any further than the next game that I'm playing. And I know that sounds quite cliche, but it's worked really well for me. Just put my heart and soul into each week, whether I'm playing for England or Nottinghamshire, attack it, you know, play as aggressive as I possibly can, leave everything out there with my body, and then enjoy whatever result comes the way, and then attack the next week. So I think that's really helped me not looking too far ahead, because it keeps me very fresh and just focusing on what I need to do today. So I think that promise to myself was quite important, and it's, you know, I think I've bowled really well in the past year under Stokesy. I've done exactly what I wanted to do as a bowler, and take wickets and take important wickets when I've needed to, and ultimately I'm pretty addicted to the side of cricket and the environment that the guys have created. It's so fun turning up each day. You know, the number one rule, the number one objective of the whole team is to entertain the people that listen on the radio, watch on the telly, come to the ground. And that's such a fun place to be as a player, because you're not worried about results, you're not worried about failing, you're just looking at entertaining.
Yeah, and in that vein, was the Hawk padded up tonight?
I was. The Hawk was padded up from 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
And then the Owl got padded up from 6:20. That's Leachy, because he says he's watchful, you see, so he's called himself the Owl. So we hawked an owl tonight, but weren't needed.
No, you weren't. And just as well, because actually, I mean, that's a lovely platform that England have tomorrow. I mean, is there any thoughts about tactics tomorrow, or do you just turn up tomorrow and see what happens and see how many you're going to get?
Your guess is as good as mine with Stokesy.
It could be anything,
I don't have a clue. I'd like to think I'd have the first hour off.
Yes.
And then I'll be ready to do anything.
But he literally could. I mean, I think we've seen enough of Ben Stokes as captain now to know that he literally could do anything, couldn't he?
Yep, absolutely. His whole mindset is about winning and winning as powerfully as you possibly can. But I would feel that would hopefully be a long way in the future. We've got some batting to do yet, and hopefully the sun comes out, the pitch plays like it did in the last couple of hours, and we have a bit of fun.
Yeah. This is the last one, Stuart. It's almost a year ago, I think, that awful day when your pub burnt down. I see you've got an opening day again now, so that must be really cheering you up too. Yeah,
great actually. Yeah, we've been slightly delayed. We were hoping for the end of May, but it's pushed into sort of later June. But we're looking forward to getting that up. I remember you texting me at about 5:30 or 6 o'clock just saying, I think your pub's on fire. I was like, yeah, I know, I've just had a phone call. So I think you were the first person to send me an image of it driving past it. So yeah, it was an interesting test match, but playing with those sort of thoughts. But fortunately, no one was hurt. We can rebuild it and hopefully bigger and better. But it looks great. I'll drive past it most days. Stuart, well bowled. Thanks for talking to us. Thank you. See you soon. There we go. Stuart Broad, who took his 20th 5-wicket haul today. He's left that little bit dangling about tomorrow, isn't it? I think what we've all been saying up here is who knows what on earth Ben Stokes is going to do. The players have got no idea by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and that's why I like Ben Stokes so much about his captaincy, is that he really does arrive pretty much every day, and I think he keeps the players on their toes. I think he keeps them on the toes about everything that he does. About selection, about the way that he's going to play. The entertainment aspects of this team is so obvious, and it's such a great mindset to have. If you're just arriving as a sports person under the utmost pressure and your sole mind is to just entertain. Yeah. So you're taking away the result, you're taking away, scoring you're just there to get out there and entertain people. It's a great mindset. For years and years we said he bowled too short, and he's just justified it. Yeah. He has just justified. For years we were all saying, you're bowling too short, you're bowling too short. I
thought I'd just feed in the line.
And we knew he was a part of the team's tactics. Bowl for attrition, bowl for dots, bowl for maidens. You bowl 3 maidens, you get an opportunity. We knew that.
I know.
So he's just justified it.
Yeah, so I wasn't going to say anything at the time. Niall, I guess it's probably the first time you've seen England in the flesh in this year. Yeah. Is there? What strikes you about the way they're playing? And again, being relative, Ireland aren't underprepared, and they are, this is quite a one-sided contest.
Yes.
So you take all that into account, of course.
They're an exciting team. They look a very, very relaxed environment. I think they're coming, enjoying their cricket, speaking to the guys around the circuit. Everyone wants to get in this England team because they're obviously very, very playing with this attitude and a carefree attitude, so they're going about things the right way.
Let's see what Chris Campher makes of it. He's with Henry Moran.
Thoughts then at the end of a day that had moments for Ireland, but ultimately England will probably be the happier of the sides?
Yeah, exactly. You touched on it there, moments. I think whenever we got on top, we didn't prolong those periods, and when they were on top, they really enforced their authority. So yeah, I think all in all, we're disappointed about today, but we come back tomorrow a bit stronger.
Stuart Broad had one of those days where the knees were pumping and he felt like he was looking like taking a wicket every ball. I mean, that's quite intimidating for any side to face.
Yeah, I think it was a great challenge for our batters. It was tough out there, but we showed some good determination, and hopefully we would have liked to just extend a little bit longer, but yeah, he's a top class bowler, so when they have one of those days, it's all about limiting them.
A lot of conversations about how England approach their batting. What conversations did you have as an Ireland side about how you try and restrain this England side?
Yeah, I think it's all about bowling our best balls as much as we can. I think they do put you under pressure, and that's what they try to do, because we saw there at the end there too, if you do put the ball in the right area, there are chances. So I think that's what the way they play. They're trying to get on top of you and enforce their authority, and as long as we can just stay disciplined, we'll be better today.
And looking at the summer as a whole, a lot of conversations about the priorities for both sides, and one-day qualification for Ireland, England and the Ashes. But a week at Lords is a special thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive and true honour to play here. The guys are buzzing about this week. It's been good build-up in Essex, and coming here the hospitality's been amazing. The ground's been great as always, and the people are just amazing. So yeah, it's been a good week for us being up.
Have there been conversations about what Ireland need to get out of this week?
I think we always come here to win. There's no doubt about that. It's about a massive opportunity for us to showcase ourselves. And we're very young in terms of tests played. So for every opportunity we get to play Test cricket, it's a massive opportunity for us.
And against a side that is leading the way in terms of style, is it something Ireland are looking to emulate in any way?
No, I think not to that extreme, but I think because the limited time we play red ball cricket, I think we do have guys that play their own way and are back that way, and I think that's it. There's a mixture of guys that look to transfer pressure, there's lots of guys that look to absorb pressure, so I think that's just where we're playing. It's not to an extreme like them, but it's in our own way, it's different.
Top man, many thanks for your time. Cheers.
That's Curtis Campher. Thanks to Henry, who made 33 today and played very nicely. I mean, just to be, let's get things into perspective, Niall. I mean, this is tough. Very little first-class cricket, as we know. Very little Test cricket. The last Test cricket was played in subcontinental conditions. Being realistic, this is a tough call. I mean, I think probably especially for the bowlers, actually, but they're used to white ball fields of defensive positions and so on. Suddenly they've got to have 3 slips because they've only got 170 on the board. You've got to get people out, lots of gaps.
Well, I think the discipline and the lack of red ball cricket showed for Ireland. They knew they were going to be under pressure from Duckett and Crawley, and Ollie Pope came out and played well. But you've got to, as Curtis Campher said in his interview, you've got to try and hold the line of length. And they just couldn't do that. When they did hold a bit of a line of length, Zach Crawley had 2 or 3 when he nearly dragged on. Yeah. So you create a bit of a half chance. Everyone knew England are going to score freely. They're going to score freely against every bowling attack. I think from the Ireland point of view, the batting will be disappointing. I get what the boys said. It was a little bit difficult this morning, but I thought they were a little bit naive in some of their stroke play. Harry Tector is a fine player. He's had a wonderful 18 months. Second ball, walks down the wicket and across the stumps to Stuart Broad. He only gave himself one area, hit the ball, leg side and probably behind square, where Matthew Potts took a good catch. So I think they'll be disappointed. It's not all doom and gloom. Tomorrow's another day for these boys, and they're learning on the job. But I think the coach will be a little bit disappointed tonight. But at the same time, there was 20,000 people here cheering on Ireland Test match. So the bigger picture is that Ireland is still playing Test cricket here. And they're up against a very good team. Yeah. This England side, even without the likes of Anderson and Mark Wood, this is a proper team. Yeah. And they're good to watch England. They really are.
Zach Crawley got 50. How do you think that innings will be assessed, Michael?
I've said for a while now with Zach Crawley, we've watched Test match cricket for many, many years, and we've kind of got to get our mindset away from what we've seen in the past, which is Test match opening batters in our time is to play for your off stump, be consistent, see off the new ball. This England side and the way that they're playing, they see Zach Crawley as can he create momentum. So they're looking at him in 5 Test matches against Australia, 10 innings, say, can he create momentum in 4? It's like a T20 style approach. They really do feel so. As much as I'll be going, well, I've just got 56 against an Ireland team. I'd have wanted 150, playing a little bit more sensibly, but they don't think that way. They'll be thinking he's just created momentum and created a great opening partnership with Ben Duckett. Now, the key comes in a couple of weeks' times, because if he does get off to a good start against Australia, and he has played well against Australia, he played beautifully in Sydney on the last tour, so I think he has a game and an ability that when he's at his best, and he will have to be at his best against Cummins and co, he can damage Australia. But if it goes wrong first time of asking at Edgbaston, the noise, because he's only going to get one hit here. He's not going to get another knock, I can't imagine. No. So I don't think he was at his best. He played 2 or 3 beautiful shots. He could have been out 3 or 4 times, dragged on. He mastered the inside edge past the off stump to fine leg.
3 times.
And he'll probably say that that's his new shot. But he's one of those players that I like watching because he's positive and he plays some beautiful shots. Do I sit here and think he's going to be consistent in the Ashes? Absolutely not. But do I think he could create impact and momentum, which is exactly what this England team are after from him? Yeah, I do think he'll create momentum on 2 or 3 occasions in the Ashes.
And do you think he's happy with that? As a batter wanting more and more runs, do you think?
That's what I was wondering. I was going to say to him, you've been in that position, different eras. 56, is he saying, I've made a good impact today, so I'm happy? Or is he thinking 150?
I'd hope he's disappointed.
Yeah.
I'd hope he's sat in that dressing room and he's gutted that he's not getting the big score, but it's the way that he plays. His career record is an average of 30. Yeah. So that's what he's done all his life. He'll get 100, then he'll go 0-5. That's what his average tells you. His average in Test match cricket is 27. Yep. He's played quite a few matches now. So, you know, don't be surprised if Zach Crawley is inconsistent. That is what he does. But will he create momentum on the odd occasion? I think he will.